Hey, it's Jay, and welcome back to Chapter 2 of the Star Wars Chronicle. In this episode, we are going to be looking at Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Real quick before I start, I just want to let you guys know that Forces of Destiny I will no longer be including in the Chronicle, just for a few reasons. Number one, they're very, very shorts, I should say, and they don't really... There's nothing I can really say about them because I could give like a brief synopsis as to what it's about. I don't even rate them because they're not that in depth. So I feel like it's just it's gonna clutter this up. This is already gonna be such a complicated series. I'll probably watch them on my own time just to get more lore bits from what happens in between. Maybe I'll just shout out a mention as to maybe what's going on during certain battles from Forces of Destiny, but they themselves won't take up time in future videos. I just wanted to make that clear. But everything else, still fair game. So without further ado, let's get started. So the film opens up and the Galactic Republic is threatened by the Separatist movement led by former Jedi Master Count Dooku. Padme Amidala, who is now a senator, not the queen of Naboo anymore, comes to vote on a notion on what they should do against the Separatists, and an assassination attempt is pitted against her. She is then placed under the protection of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedis from the first movie, and Anakin is much older now and is now, of course, Obi-Wan's apprentice and is really honing in on his Jedi skills. So they also have to try to figure out who's trying to assassinate Padme before it's too late. So, later that night, a second attempt is taken out to try to take out Padme. However, Obi-Wan and Anakin do thwart that assassin named Zam Wesell, and before they can get any information as to who hired her, it's revealed it's a bounty hunter. Before any information, she is assassinated by said bounty hunter. So the Jedi Council then instructs Obi-Wan and Anakin to find out who this bounty hunter is. My apologies. At the same time, Anakin is ordered to protect Padme and escort her back to Naboo where she'll be safe. The two kind of start... There's something forming between the two. I have a lot to say about that. But, of course, the Jedi Council forbids relationships, so it's kind of a complicated thing going on between Anakin and Padme right now. So, Obi-Wan's search leads him to the ocean planet of Kamino, where he discovers an army of clones is being made for the Republic in the name of a deceased Jedi. A man named Jango Fett is at the head of this. However, Obi-Wan deduces that Jango Fett is the bounty hunter that he's been looking for, and a brief battle ensues. And as Jango escapes with his young clone son Boba Fett, Obi-Wan smartly places a homing device on a tracking device on his ship to discover where he goes. He then follows Jango and Boba to the planet of Geonosis, pursuing their ship, the Slave One. At the same time, Anakin is having nightmares and really bad visions of his mother Shmi, who he had to leave in Phantom Menace because she was never freed. And he decides to go back to Tatooine against the Jedi's orders. And it turns out Watto reveals that he actually sold Shmi to a man named, Cliegg Lars, who then freed her and also married her. However, unfortunately, he reveals that Shmi was captured by Tusken Raiders just days before he got there and is most likely dead. Willing to do anything to protect his mother, Anakin takes off to the Tusken Raiders camp and finds his mother badly beaten, in really bad shape. And she dies in his arms. Overcome with emotion and just rage, he kills the men responsible, and that's it. Oh, wait a minute. No, he doesn't. He kills everybody at the camp. Women, children, everybody. And nobody seems to bat an eye at this. Even Padme is like, you know what? You're very upset by your mom's death, so that justifies you slaughtering an entire village when only 2 men were responsible. Again, I have a lot to say about that aspect of this movie later on in the review portion. But, unfortunately, Shmi has met her untimely demise at the hands of the Tusken Raiders. So on Geonosis, Obi-Wan discovers a separatist gathering led by Count Dooku, who is making a droid army with the help of Trade Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray. And it is also revealed that they are the ones who called out the hits on Padme's life. Count Dooku reveals that he has a role in the Confederacy of Independent Systems, again, sorry with the notes, and implies that a large portion of the Galactic Senate is under the control of Darth Sidious, and he implores in Obi-Wan Kenobi to help him stop Darth Sidious. Of course, Obi-Wan calls his bluff, and pretty much says that's horseshit. And Count Dooku explains that his apprentice, Qui-Gon Jinn from the first movie, definitely would have. But Obi-Wan is not buying it. And at the same time, Senate Representative Jar Jar Binks would grant emergency powers to Chancellor Palpatine, allowing the clone army to get led forward to fight the droids. So a big battle is about to ensue. So Anakin and Padme, against the Jedi's order, go to Geonosis to save Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they are captured in the process by Jango Fett. The three of them, Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin, are sentenced to death. However, a battalion of Jedi led by Yoda and Mace Windu come in and stop the fight. And in an ensuing battle, Mace Windu beheads Jango Fett right in front of his young son Boba Fett, and a massive clone army versus droid army ensues. Count Dooku takes on Obi-Wan and Anakin and wounds Obi-Wan and actually ends up slicing off Anakin's arm in the process. However, Yoda does come in and hilariously fights off Count Dooku with his superior Jedi skills. So, yeah, it's probably one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any Star Wars film that I've seen up until this point, and I'll explain why in a bit. So in that ensuing battle, Dooku uses the Force to distract Yoda and flee to Coruscant, where he gives the plans of a super droid to Darth Sidious. I wonder who that could be. And as the Jedi acknowledge that this is only the beginning of a very long conflict, the Clone Wars, Padme and Anakin run off, and they do get married with only C-3PO and R2-D2 as the witnesses. And that is the Clone Wars. What a step down from Phantom Menace, and that's saying a lot. I mean, that's not saying much, I should say. This movie was not too favorable to me, at least. Not too favorable to me. And it's for a very few reasons, and they're actually pretty major with there being so little. First of all, you could tell that this is a movie that was made when CG was just starting to really ramp up, because it's everywhere, and it looks disgusting. The clones look awful. Like, the CG characters that are all around them look terrible. It's really noticeable when, like, you know how sometimes in movies you can't even tell when humans are CG because they there's no stunt person alive that could actually pull off said stunt, so they have to CG them. And sometimes you can't even tell. Here it's painfully obvious that they're CG. And I understand that this was made, 18 years ago, but God, it doesn't hold up. It looks atrocious. And I feel like it probably even looked atrocious back then. I can't speak to that because, again, I just started watching these movies, and even if I did, I was, 5 when this movie came out, so I wouldn't have had any sense of anything on how the CG would look back then. But it just doesn't seem like it holds up. And another thing, Anakin is such a bitch in this movie. Oh my God, there's nothing redeemable about this character. And going back to that whole thing where he takes out the Tusken Raiders, Yoda senses something is wrong in the Force when he goes on this killing rampage, but it's as if nobody mentions it again. Nobody's like, hey, yo, Anakin, what was that about, slaughtering an entire village? And even Padme continues to lust after this dickhead, and just the whole sand line, the whole sand is coarse and it gets everywhere, and this badass Jedi who's supposed to be, there's something special, Qui-Gon Jinn went about it all along in the first movie, how he's supposed to be this kid, is going on about fucking sand, how he doesn't like it getting, what were they doing with this character? Were they just looking at who he became in the original trilogy, and we're like, let's see if we can turn him into an absolute pussy. And they really succeeded because Anakin sucks in this movie with a stupid little rat tail. I was also really scared that they were going to decrease Padme to just a love interest, but thankfully she does have some badass moments, like when they're captured and they're sentenced to death by Count Dooku. She does manage to be the first one to escape her chains and get some fighting in. And, she still is, out there doing fighting, all that. And there's just the same rebellious queen that she was in the first movie, where she's like, I don't care what the Jedi say, I'm going to go rescue Obi-Wan. And she's, other than that. But I really was scared that they were just going to make her another damsel in distress when she had such great character in the first film, not being a helpless damsel, being like someone who actually wants to take action rather than just be rescued, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm happy they kind of backpedaled from that, but boy, I was scared. The lightsaber duels are still fantastic. I'll still say that to the day I die, that the lightsaber battles in the original trilogy, from what I've seen so far, are far superior from the original trilogy. Because it was just with Yoda, like, as if he just, like, injected heroin into his veins before he went to go fight Count Dooku, bouncing off the walls. After he first, like, gingerly walks in with his cane, and he's just, like, springing off the walls like Speedy Gonzalez taking on Count Dooku. It's freaking hilarious. But, again, I will praise the lightsaber duels in this movie again, because they are something to look at. Those are definitely worth the price of admission. Wonderful performances too in this movie. I mean, you can't say anything bad about Christopher Lee's performance. It's Christopher Lee. He was a phenomenal actor. Even in some bad films like this one, he manages to make it work. There were some things too that I'm just like, really? This is the biggest issue with making a prequel series after your main series, because, again, I'm not going to say anything in case there's some people who don't know who certain characters become, but there's a scene at the end when, Count Dooku's giving the plans to Darth Sidious, and it's like, gee, I wonder who that could be, because, like, they try to kind of, like, Dr. Claw it, from Inspector Gadget, where they try to keep him in the shadows, but you can blatantly see this portion of his face from below my hands. And it's a distinct feature from a character we've seen in the movies already, and it's like, you didn't even try to hide that. So if you're a Star Wars fan and you're trying to watch it in the order that I am, and you haven't seen any of the future installments, keep an eye out for that, because they don't even try to hide it, which is a big flaw in my opinion. But at the end of the day, yes, this is definitely a step down from The Phantom Menace. And I hate to say that, because I really wanted to give the prequels a try, given their track record, but this one just really didn't do it for me. I can't blame Hayden Christensen, because this is just how the character was written. He's just doing what he was directed to do. But wow, did they fuck up Anakin. They really did. Obviously Ewan McGregor's always a treat. I love how frustrated he's like that frustrated parent when your kid just like won't listen to you, because Anakin just keeps disobeying him. So that's really funny. And one of the few lines where I actually laughed in this movie was when Anakin was like, "Oh, I came to save you," and so since it's already captured, Obi-Wan's just like, "Well, good job." And that was like one of the few legitimate laughs I got from the movie, because it was just like you could see just like, "Are you kidding me?" in Obi-Wan's face. At the end of the day, I can only feel comfortable giving this film a 2 out of 5. I can't really give it more than that, because again, with the awful CG, the awful character in Anakin, just some real glaring issues with how they handled certain characters, I can't feel more. And it's also really, nothing interesting really happens until the clone first droid fight at the end, which is just a bunch of CG nonsense, but not good CG nonsense, if you know what I'm saying, because I know someone would probably be like, "Oh, but you like the Marvel movies and that's all CG nonsense." Yeah, but that's good CG nonsense. This is just, I think I could make like paper mache look more realistic than what I've seen here in the film. But yeah, that's 2 out of 5 for me for this movie. So I really hope you guys enjoyed my review of Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Make sure you guys stay tuned next time where I look at the first 2 episodes, chronologically speaking, of the Clone Wars. And that's going to be Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse, and Season 1, Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy. Because, again, the Clone Wars was released out of order. And again, I'm going to be linking the the official order off the Star Wars website as to how you should watch the Clone Wars if you, like myself, haven't seen any of the episodes, or even if you are a fan of the show and actually want to see it in that order if you want to rewatch it. So I'll be putting that in the description below. Yeah, I really hope you guys are excited to get into more Star Wars lore. I know I am. I'm enjoying the series a lot so far, despite my feelings on the first 2 movies. But I think this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Another bit of news, I should say, is starting this week. I'm also going to be starting another mini-series called MCU Reviewed. I decided to take my reviews of the MCU TV shows and future movies and turning them into videos. They're not going to be that long. Coming this Friday, I'm going to do the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. That's how I'm kind of going to structure it. I'm just going to go 3 episodes each episode. I'm also going to be throwing in my ranking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, my Spider-Man Far From Home review, and my Incredible Hulk synopsis in that playlist as well. So if you guys want to check those out, they'll all be there too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this episode. Again, stay tuned, subscribe, share with your friends, all that fun stuff. Ring the bell so you can get notified when I upload Chapter 3. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.